Sunday! Every Sunday, side by side at the microphone from the green light to the speed trap, Regarino and Jody calls them as they seize them, and you better believe them. Hear relevant news, biased opinion, and outright nonsense regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gasp with mechanical trickery never before broadcast over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Ray and Joe cuss each other down track, barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands with the devil. All that and so much more at high noon this Sunday on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and the Live Eat, Ray Carino and Joe D. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free. Every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Hempstead Turnpike to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the no parking on the expressway and no express service on the Parkway sign. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass. Be there!
Alrighty, everybody in the automotive world, you have tuned into Motormouth Radio, Long Island's only automotive talk show. And to all you mothers celebrating Father's Day, as we are, happy Father's Day. And to Chris Switzer, who's my man in the across the sound over here. How are you doing, Chris?
Doing well, my brother. How are you on this fine Father's Day? How was the breakfast?
Oh, my breakfast was good. Let me tell you something. My wife and I bought something at Stu Leonard's. They make a loaf of bread that's called croissant bread.
Ooh.
So if you're a fan of croissants, imagine a loaf of bread made out of it that you have to slice yourself. Oh, my word, off the shelf, just off the hook.
Madonna mia. You know, it doesn't matter. I can only say this to you, and I can say this to you affectionately, my longtime radio colleague. I hope it was as good as the kielbasa that you shared one time with me. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's
you have quite a kielbasa there, sir.
Right. That's in a whole. That's the other ethnicity. I don't know what ethnicity croissants are. They're probably English, I guess.
Yeah, probably Anglo.
I love it.
Some sort of Anglo.
So you've tuned in once again to Motormouth Radio. You can give us a call today at 516-256-9510. We're scheduled to have Mr. Carl Anthony from Automoblog.net on with us in a little while.
Automoblog.
Right?
Yes.
He's got some new news to talk to us about. And
right.
Chris, is there any special groups or people we should be honoring besides the mothers and fathers today? What's going on?
Very funny you should bring that up, Ray. It is always part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour, and you know today is no different on this fine Sunday. It's Father's Day, and of course, the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. If your family lets you go out and work on your car on Father's Day, you're part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour, ladies and gentlemen. That is right. So if you get up off the chair from this fine breakfast that they just served you and you go, I'm going to go work on a car today, and they all go, bye.
Yeah.
You are part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Thank you so much.
Nice. Do you have any plans of working on a car today?
You betcha. And this is the funny thing, because I've had a week of craziness, a week of technology, and I could never get up and go out to the car, and we're all week. So everything that we're going to be talking about, I've completely committed to memory.
Right.
So today I am going to do a long-awaited job on my little K-vertible. My little Chrysler LeBaron desperately needs front brakes, and it also needs an emergency brake adjustment. It's got the discs in the front and the drums in the rear. I can take the emergency brake handle that is conveniently between the two front seats and pull it straight up. Goes right to 12 o'clock, and that car will still roll out of the driveway, which makes me berserk. I cannot stand that. You ever notice when you're actually looking at a classic car, or you're looking at any car, and you can see the emergency brake cable? It's always hanging. It's just this drooping thing that's just hanging in between the wheels. And that's not a phallic fun there. That's just it's one of those. And I'm like, God, just go fix it. How hard is it? You know, I fixed the cable on the 300. When was it? It was when I was doing the brakes, basically back in the spring, and I forgot to adjust it. It was the only thing I did, and I actually did this Sunday after the show last week. I backed the 300 out of the garage, and I just pushed the emergency brake down. It's a foot pedal, and I pushed it down, and I put it in reverse, and the car rolled out of the driveway.
How long did you have to wait for the dock master to give you clearance? Did they set up buoys in the driveway?
Like
Is there a flag man?
There's a guy with a bell. Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, wait. We got a bell.
You have a bell. As Ray goes and gets... Ray, the master of the visual, now has an audio. Oh, look at a cowbell. Give us more of that cowbell, Ray.
Actually, this was gifted to us from our caller, Tom from Massapequa, on December 2018, where he sent Joe and I each one of these and said, more cowbell. So I was playing songs that had cowbell in them.
That's hysterical. But yeah, that's what the dock master does. He just gives me the hand signs, and I just wade the car out of the garage.
So let me ask you this: what type of, we know what the Chrysler has, that's a drum brake car, but what type of rear adjuster mechanism is on the other convertible?
You know, the 90s cars, and I know you and I have discussed this in the past, the 90s vehicles do not have an auxiliary adjuster. They don't have the star where you can access it from the basically from the axle side or the drum side.
So it's drum brakes.
It is drum in the rear, yes.
Okay.
But there's no access. It was like that little Sunbird that I had no access plate on the back.
Right.
You had to pull the drum off, adjust the brakes accordingly, and then slide the drum back on. And I think we discussed this in the past. It was because people were adjusting their brakes too, tightly?
Yeah,
on the rim.
The one Mazda we have that has rear drum, it's the same thing. And what the manufacturer did is they give you a spec. They want that drum. They want enough clearance so they can freewheel. I mean, we talked about this in the past. I remember in shop class back in high school, Mr. Mancuso taught us that you put the wheel back on the car, put on a couple lugs quick, and if you give the wheel a nice turn, it should go like one revolution, maybe
one revolution.
And that was it.
Right.
And by today's standards, that's way too tight. It's way too tight. They almost want it to freewheel when you just give it a spin.
Yeah, well, the slave cylinder in there just doesn't open those brakes when you get on a foot pedal. It doesn't really move a heck of a lot, so you want it a little snug.
So let's I agree, but let's backwards engineer this. Let's think about this.
It's only an hour show, Ray. It's only an hour show.
I think I have it down. The engineers want you to. They're looking at the CAFE regulations and the fuel mileage, and so that all plays into that.
Yes,
having the brakes a little tighter plays into our own safety. So
yes,
they don't
exactly.
So
it's very true. It's the exact thing. They don't want that drag. They don't want the engine working any harder. They don't want to decrease the gas mileage, mile per gallon. They don't want to do that. So they'll sacrifice your safety for a free rolling vehicle, basically.
And I'll tell you this: when I put the brakes in my Pontiac as a resto mod, I used a Willwood master cylinder, and they told me I needed to put in this residual pressure valve, which is a 20 psi valve. And I said, why? And then I found out why. It actually keeps pressure, a certain amount of pressure to the rear brakes, like ready to go, so that the brakes don't have a big lag, the drum brakes in the rear. Mm-hmm. And I found out, well, why do I need that? I've never used that before. And I did finally get it out of somebody that their master cylinders can be used for disc or drum, four-wheel disc or drum, and discs don't use that valve.
Right.
It goes through a metering valve and a combination valve, whatever the car has.
Right.
But the drum brakes need it, and a factory master that's made for disc drum has the residual pressure valve built in.
Oh.
So now it all made sense.
Got it.
So that's how that works. But yeah, now like you with your car and the Mazda, it's that parking brake handle that you would, and there's the 10 millimeter nut that you go down through the console with, and
that funny thing. And I'm the type of what would you say, brake adjuster that I like when you pull on the emergency brake between the seats and it goes up maybe like an inch and a half, like click click. That's it.
The service manual, they give you a spec, and my Mazda said they give it to me in clicks. They'll say like 4 to 5 clicks.
Right.
It should be.
Right. 4 to 5 clicks is my limit. Five clicks is my limit. Yeah.
Who was it? I think it was it might have been Mike at the shop who said to me just the other day about a car with maybe it would have to be his Mustang, because he said, yeah, it's too many clicks. And it was either him or his buddy Nick. I forget which one it was. I think it was Mike. And I said, yeah, you just got to go in there, make a little adjustment, and no biggie.
And I try to adjust from the wheel and not from the 10 millimeter adjustment screw at the base of the emergency brake handle. I try and just go right for the wheel itself. But no, if there's an incredible amount of slack on the cable, yeah, you have to go with that nut down between the seats. But most of the time there isn't. And when I installed the cable in the 300, I was able to run it well. And what I find extraordinary is that even in the late 60s, there was a really an emphasis on putting this together so it never comes apart. And there was so many press nuts and configurables. It wasn't just a simple nut and bolt to reattach the cable, swing it through the firewall, back down, and run it to the back of the car. There was just so many, what would you say, so many attachments that needed to happen, that it was extraordinary the way it was put together. But it was still done well. I still did it well. But when I got into the car, I put my finger on the cable and I pulled down on it like it was a clothesline. I went, oh, this is not good. Right. So I had to do the adjustment not from the wheel, but from that nut. But the nut in that car, where in the newer cars it's between the seats, on that car it's just ahead of the differential. So it gets the differential and then branches off and goes to each wheel. And it's that Y connection where the nut is, and that's I'm
like
under
old
there.
School. Yeah, like on my Pontiac, the cable comes down from the pedal that's in the car,
right?
Travels out and then hits this little. It's actually, like you said, it's a Y adapter.
Yes,
metal that has another cable that goes back to the two wheels, and that has a threaded adjuster with a nut.
That's where I was at.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's kind of funny because when we rolled the car off the flatbed when I first purchased it, and we rolled it, the flatbed driver handed it to me. He says, "I think you're going to need this."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to need this."
Have you looked at the rear brakes on that car? Have you inspected them?
On the little 93, no, I can't get the drum off.
You need a tool that I bought at Englishtown.
What?
I bought a drum puller.
Oh, yeah. I may have to. This is what breaks my heart. I don't want to spray any lubricant on the threads in fear of getting any lubricant on the brake shoes.
Right.
So I'm like having consternation. I'm trying to tap it with the plastic hammer. No. You need a ball peen. And you need some, and I'll tell you this: you can probably rent that tool from a local auto parts store, or they'll lend it to you. Because I used to borrow mine from Colvin before I went and bought one. Right. But it looks like some lubricant must have slipped on the door. The handle opened, and in flew our guest for today, Mr. Carl Anthony. Hey, Carl.
Put on that microphone.
How are you, my brother?
Hey, guys, what's happening?
Hi, Carl. What's happening with you?
Yeah.
Hey, it's good to be here. Happy Father's Day to everybody in Motormouth Radio Land.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day as well.
So what have I missed, guys? What's new?
No, we're just talking about adjusting parking brakes on Chris's cars.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
You know, a little bit of maintenance.
I have a theory, and I wanted to bring this up to Carl.
Okay.
I have a theory, and I want to expound on this a little bit because it perplexes me to this day. This week, I have that old Chrysler back there.
Okay.
And this is something, Ray, I think we touched on this earlier in the program many years ago. Sometimes you can get in your carbureted vehicle and start it up. Okay? And now it runs bad. You rev it up. Feed a little bit more gas into it. And it still gives you the. Here's what I found out. I learned this many years ago. Take it out of park. Put it into drive. Put your foot on the brake first. Then put it into drive. And then feed gas. And not like Ray does, where he's leaving 2 tracks of rubber and filling the garage with smoke, just to blip it. That's all.
Yeah.
put it back into park, the car runs better.
All right,
Why?
Einstein. All right, I got one for you.
Why?
Because I'm going through that with my Fiat Spider.
Okay.
Now I've been futzing with the carburetor again. So what do? The car's got a 5-speed.
Right.
Right.
It's Italian. There's no.
Short.
No, it's Italian. No, it's got to be American and carbureted.
Right.
Yeah. But what if it's got a 4-speed?
and an automatic transmission.
What you're doing is loading the system by engaging the automatic transmission, therefore changing the vacuum signal to that carburetor, and that's
okay.
That's
Because I got in the Chrysler, I started it up on a Saturday, let it run, shut it off, and then I started it up the next day, which never happens, right? Because I'll let the car run, and then it won't run for another 3 weeks. So I got in the car the next day, hit the key, and it went da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, oh, what am I going to do now? I said, the old trick. Put my foot on the brake, dumped it into drive, threw it back in the park, ran like a champ.
I have a theory. Well, I think first of all, if you started the car and it ran at a lopey idle, probably the choke was open. It didn't set.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
okay.
it was too far closed. One or the other. It's like that electrical. Is it electrical or fuel? Well, they both give you the same, the same symptoms.
Yeah.
So the thing to do next is, before you do that, take the air cleaner off, hit the throttle once to set the choke, and see if it sets and where it sets, and then that's what I would look at
on that wacky Holly carburetor I have on that thing. Yeah,
Right.
Holly 600, right?
Mm.
And I don't know what type of choke mechanism you have. I don't remember if it was electric or if it was a stove type.
No, it's a block of wood.
Right.
It's the simple, the simplest you can get.
Yeah.
Right.
But
It's
Chris,
the stove. Yes, sir.
I seem to remember. So my dad had an old Chevy truck that had a carburetor in it. I seem to remember as a kid him doing very similar things of, you got to give it gas. You got to do something with the transmission. I mean, and then he got an 87 Silverado after that, and it had fuel injection at the time. It had 305 with fuel injection. Yeah. And he raved about fuel injection because because then you just start it up and go. But I seem to remember him doing all sorts of tricks like that with that old Chevy pickup of his, especially during the winter, where it would do that, and then it would die, and he'd be like, do it. I didn't do whatever I was supposed to do long enough, and so that was like, I was a boy. I remember asking Dad the difference, and he's like, well, that's because there's a carburetor, and he's like, in this new pickup we got, he's like, it's fuel injection, so there is no carburetor, and but I remember Dad doing, like I said, all kinds of stuff like that to make that carbureted pickup work.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that you do like the dance sitting right in the driver's seat. You're like pumping the pedal like 90,000 times, and you're doing this jump as you're pumping the pedal.
And then when the weather changed, you went from summer to spring to fall to winter. That whole dance had to change again. Every time I had a Holly carburetor, like when I had an SU carburetor on my motorcycle, I had to retune it as the weather changed. Like if it was dry in the morning but humid at night, I'd have to retune that carburetor.
But that's because that's because you're insane.
The Hollies are very sensitive. Yeah.
But what is crazy today, and this is what's crazy about the new system. So you look at independent variable cam timing and direct injection. Every wintertime, we always get asked, do I need to let my car warm up? And
good question.
The general answer is not really. No. You know what I mean? The best way with the new systems is to you want to generate heat for the engine, just get it moving. And so the general consensus has gone from let your car warm up to, really pretty much with the new systems, you can just jump right in and drive. And it's quite a departure because I was always used to, again, Dad's pickup sat outside. So when you went out and you cleaned off the snow, you fired it, and it took a while for the heat to circulate and stuff.
Sure.
But that's new. That's new even for me. So generally we tell people, you don't really need to, for your comfort, if you want your cabin to heat up but like when I sold Ford trucks, so this is 10 years ago, the Super Duty trucks had an option called rapid heat. That was literally just the option. And
Wow.
it was exactly what it said it was. It was you'd start the truck up and literally it would, it was an advanced heating system in those trucks. It's called rapid heat. And actually
Wow.
in the Midwest, Ford made most of that available just for free as no charge. So you would see like rapid heat package and then behind it was NC, no charge.
What was the mechanism in place that did that?
I'm trying to remember now. It was,
while you think of that, I know I worked on a Toyota.
so it was, go ahead though.
Back in the 90s, a friend brought me another friend's Toyota. It was a fairly new Celica.
Yeah.
And he wanted like belts done, and it was only a few years old. And I worked on it. It was all, new. First time I saw an oil filter that went down straight into the engine, I was like, oh my God. I said, that's going to make a freaking mess. And of course it didn't, because it drains back. But that car also, it was colder weather, and I had to drive it around and test it. And it had like instantaneous heat. And I said, this is fantastic. How'd they do that? I think they took it off right after the exhaust manifold is what they did.
Yeah, the supplemental electrical heater, the supplemental cab heater is what it is.
CH.
Yep, self-regulating rapid heat supplemental cab heater, and I do remember that from when I was home. That was 10 years ago.
What was that was an option that they?
Well, it technically, yes, it was an option, but because my dealership, I lived in South Dakota, we were considered a Midwest state, and we were considered the Minneapolis region for Ford. And Ford at that time had made rapid heat, that package, standard and free for no charge for all Midwestern states. So it technically was an upgrade, but it was given for free to all of the states at the time that had winter. And so this is when... So there was the 6.0. This is when there was the 6.4 is when they started doing this. So there was a 6.0 and then there was the 6.7 Power Stroke. And there was that interim twin turbo engine they had, the 6.4, that was just around for a couple of years. If memory serves me right, they started doing with that. And then they just made them free, no charge across the board when the 6.7 Power Stroke came out and the biodiesel came out and all that stuff. But yeah, but it was, you would fire up those, you would let the glow plugs cycle, which would hardly take any time at all. And then you'd fire up and that cabin be warm within, a few minutes.
I would want to have that here, in the coast. We get cold winters,
Right. So, if you're talking about like carbureted vehicles and stuff, and like I said, I remember Dad doing the dance and doing the thing, like, and just how much it has changed.
Oh yeah,
yes.
And even today, when you read the articles, like I have done about modernizing, putting fuel injection on a hot rod or a muscle car, everybody. The one thing that a lot of people tout is, we're going to get such great gas mileage. You will get better gas mileage, but it's not monumental. The biggest thing you get is cold start.
Yep.
Yeah.
And drivability. That's it. That's the number one thing.
Yes.
And fuel mileage can increase if other factors are in place, but it really is that cold start. That's
for sure. And it's the same with turbocharging an engine. Yes, technically fuel economy can increase, and it does if you keep your foot out of it. That's the problem, So it's like you have this extra boost of power that it's, so again, it's, do they get better gas mileage? Yeah, sure, absolutely, in theory, but there's a lot of things that go into that. How much weight is in the vehicle? So if you're talking a turbocharged SUV, a smaller crossover, but you have luggage and people in there and everything, then it ain't, the fuel economy ain't going to happen.
This is funny. Back around the late 80s, early 90s, it was a friend's father. I was working on his car, and it was a Chevy with a 2-barrel and, a 350, and he was complaining, he wanted to get a little better gas mileage because of the gas prices. I said, well, I said, if we go from a 2-barrel to a 4-barrel, go to a quadrijet, you can probably get better gas mileage. How am I going to do that with a 4-barrel? It's 4. I said, no, your 2-barrel has 2 big primaries. I used to remember what they measured. I don't now.
Right.
The primaries on a quadrijet are noticeably, significantly smaller than those 2 barrels. The secondaries are noticeably larger. And I talked them into it. I got the parts, intake, the manifold, the intake manifold, the carburetor, the linkage, everything associated with it. Did the swap, drove the car. He loved it. But then he came back, saw him in a month or so, and he was complaining how his mileage was the same, if not worse. I said, well, let's go for a drive.
Yes.
And of course, we took off, and he took off normal, and then he wanted to change lanes, and he hit it.
Yeah.
Door barrel open.
Yep.
I'm like, all right, pull over. I'm like, I know what it is. Oh, you can hear a problem? Like, no, I can see a problem. It's called your right foot.
Yes.
And then once I explained it to him, so there was, you stay out of the go juice.
I got to tell you, I have driven a handful of new vehicles this year. Luckily, even with COVID-19, automakers have kept their press fleets going. And if I drive reasonable, 60 miles an hour, gentle braking, by the way, gentle steering, and I drive, I am always city highway combined above what the window sticker says. Above it doesn't matter. And I had opportunity to drive Volkswagens this year, Hyundais, Genesis, which is the luxury brand of Hyundai, Toyotas and Lexuses alike, SUVs and cars. As long as you are gentle, braking, acceleration, you're not driving 70, 80, you're driving 80 miles an hour. In every vehicle, regardless of platform, style, type, above the window sticker, everything. Now, not drastically, maybe, sometimes only a mile, a gallon or so, but I'm always generally above the window sticker. So how you drive and brake makes a huge difference on fuel efficiency.
Absolutely.
More so than anything, I think.
Yeah.
And
I always wondered, was it really Lexuses or Lexi? Well, it was our language expert isn't with us right now, so he can't correct me, but I wonder.
Lexuses.
Yeah, I don't know. Like right. Taurus. What about, what's the plural of Taurus?
Tauri.
But that's kind of what I'm saying. Right. I don't know.
Yeah, Focus, Ford Focuses.
Right, Focus.
Okay.
Right. Well, I know they don't like, they don't like calling that a mice. You don't.
Yeah, mice. Yeah,
which is ridiculous.
Right, not a mouse. Right, not a mouse on your computer.
Right. Maybe it's like sheep, where it's one, it's singular and plural at the same time. It's just Lexus. It's just, see your Lexus's dealers.
These are
too many X's, too many S's.
These are the things we ponder on Motormouth Radio.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we're not talking about cars.
Yeah, people. So if somebody asks me, do we have any intelligent conversations on this show? I'll go, yeah.
No. Well, let's try an intelligent conversation on the phone. And let's say, hi, you're on with the Motormouths and Carl Anthony.
Steve from West Hempstead. How you guys doing?
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hey, Steve.
Quick question. When you were discussing earlier about not letting the car warm up with the newer system, now, say it's winter time, and the car's been sitting all night, 8, 9, 10 hours.
Okay.
And the oil has dripped down into the oil pan, and basically all the internal parts have very little or maybe no lubricant on them. So isn't it best to always let the car warm up, especially in the wintertime, so that it eliminates premature engine damage and wear and tear due to lack of lubrication?
Yes. I think the reason why automakers say this, and here's why, when they give this advice to consumers, the assumption is that it's a brand new vehicle and it has a synthetic oil in it from the factory, and a consumer will continue to use synthetic oil or a zero weight oil. And so there's no wax in the oil, so it goes right to the top of the engine when it fires up. I think the assumption is with the new cars, you are running their factory recommended oil, which is at very minimum a semi-synthetic. Now for a conventional oil, and it's even against my logic of how I grew up of always letting a vehicle warm up. But it's a lot of these things are cut and dry for automakers. It's very, look, we have this system. This is how we designed it. This is the oil that we're running, and this is exactly what it can do. You can fire it up and you can drive it. So I would agree with you that you should still let it warm up and you should still let everything cycle through, all the vital fluids cycle through. I think that is why they say it, right or wrong, because they're assuming it's a synthetic underneath the hood.
Well, let me ask you this, and I have my own thought on this too, but when you say warm up, how warm is warm up for you?
For me?
Like full temperature on the gauge, or like
it's probably not full temperature. I would do enough to get warm inside. So I would do enough to get warm, more comfortable, to get heat. So I will start it up and then I'll clear away the snow and the ice and everything. And during that process, then I'll get in, I'll warm up, take my gloves off. I'm not full temperature. I'm probably a quarter of the way there to full engine temp.
Well, in that, you're more like Chris and my wife because you like the heat. I look at it, I like to go by either one of two things. If the car has an oil pressure gauge, like mine do, I want to see full oil pressure.
Right.
And then give it a couple seconds, and I'm good to go. As far as warm-up, I go until maybe the temperature gauge just starts to move. The thermostat's nowhere near open yet, but just starts to move.
Right.
And Steve, to answer your question, although the upper parts of the engine aren't bathed in oil, they have been bathed in oil and they're seasoned in oil. So they're not, unless you have oil starvation, if you have a thick oil in the car where it's going to take a while to get it up there, like my Fiat that has 2050 in it.
Right.
Even a 1030 or certainly a 520, that stuff flows pretty easy, especially when it's a little older. So, and the industry stuff I've read says they were trying to cut back, on the amount of oil changes and the oil change interval. They also say that they recommended cutting back that warm up time.
Right. And some of it's a marketing thing too. So yes, there's the engineering and design, but it's marketing as in, look at how convenient it is. You can get in your car, you can start it up, no fuss, no muss, and you just take off and drive. And that's the convenience factor. So like all-wheel drive, you don't have to push a button, you don't have to touch it. It does everything intuitively. So, from a marketing standpoint, the quicker you can get somebody in the car and get them moving, the better it is for convenience. So then engineering is tasked with, okay, make that happen. Make this car, devise an oil, devise a variable valve timing system, a direct injection system, devise a powertrain that can literally start up and you're on your way,
Steve, thanks for the call.
Okay, guys, great.
Yeah. Does that... Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Steve.
That helped you too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still with you though. It's weird even. It's weird even for me, Steve, and like I said, because I'm from that old school too.
Mm-hmm.
But so is the show.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
You bet, Steve.
Thanks.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Righty.
All right, appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, Steve.
516-256-9510. And it's funny, just to kind of encapsulate, I think what you guys are trying to go with, in my fuel injected vehicles, I will start the car up and let it run in high idle and then just wait for the idle to drop. And it usually takes like a minute and a half. Once it gets down past below 1,000 RPMs, then I know it's safe to drop it into gear and go. That's usually my dictum. But
I'll tell you what, Mr. Dictum, why don't you tell us the honor group of the hour again? Because we're going to go to our bottom of the hour break. We're a few minutes late, but we'll take care of some business.
All righty. The honor group of the hour today is for all you fathers out there on Father's Day. If your family lets you go and work on your car on Father's Day, well, guess what? You're part of the Motor Mouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Because when you have your breakfast and you get up out of that chair and go, I think I'm just going to go detail my car. I think I'm just going to go sit in it and do nothing. And the family goes, get out of my face. Well, then you're part of the Motor Mouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Thank you so much.
All righty. Very good. Sage words of advice. So we are going to take this break, and we'll be back with more Motor Mouth Radio with your host, Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer, and our special guest today, Mr. Carl Anthony, helping us celebrate on Father's Day on 90.3 WHPC. This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limbrook and Oceanside. We remind you that New York State law says you always have the right to choose the shop where you have your car fixed. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services, including 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with rental car arrangements if needed. We're considered an essential business and are still open, providing touchless drop-off and pickup services. And yes, se habla español. More information is available by calling 516-593-0920 or online at celebritychasecollision.com.
Shake off the realities of the day, broaden your musical horizons, and embrace the diversity every Monday afternoon at 5 for 2 hours of revelations. The show offers a potently unique collection of music with an emphasis on themes and rock rarities, an occasional tour de force of blues and soul, mixed with compelling sets of folk and folk rock. I'm Steve K, and I've got the perfect soundtrack for your drive home every Monday afternoon at 5 on Revelations, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Alrighty, and we are back on Motormouth Radio. Ray Guarino with Chris Switzer and Mr. Carl Anthony. On the line, you can get us at 516-256-9510. Check us out on the web, motormouthradio.com. We're also on the same name on Twitter and the Faccia Bruta, where we like to play around. And on Instagram, which is Joe's favorite, it's real Motormouth Radio, where we put pictures of the stuff we do during the week, trouble we try to get in and out of. And you can follow along.
And let's clarify, because Joe's not here, but Joe always says we don't take pictures of our food. You know?
Yeah, right.
I love that. Love that when he says that.
Yeah, let's go back to the phones, back to the fun, and say hi. You're on with the Motormouths.
Right.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Vic.
What's up, Vic?
Hey, I got a big echo. How come?
Well,
we're in the gymnasium.
Because you're going through miles and miles of internet cabling to make this call actually happen.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I'm adjusting your levels as we speak. So go ahead.
Yeah.
So get a bigger string.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We have a huge string. If you knew the connections that we had to go through to make this show work today, woof, it's mind-boggling.
Is that like Jersey or something like that? Or you got to go through cousin in Jersey or something?
We're going over the bridge. We're going down. We're going everywhere. It's ridiculous.
It's a mess. Yes, it is truly a technological wonder and a snarl of cable. So here's some of the cable right here.
But Vic, you deal with old stuff, so you don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's up with the projects?
Well, what's up with the project is I had that operation a few weeks ago, so I just went and looked at them.
Okay, good enough. Did that?
Yeah.
Do you still? Does your phone still have a text plan on it?
Yeah, but I don't know how to do it.
Okay, because I did send you a get well text. I didn't hear back from you. So
a couple months ago. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh no, you texted me. Yes, I remember that. Yeah. I got the firewall all clecoed in, so now I just got to weld it and grind the weld and bondo it and get it ready for painting. You know, we're going to color match the firewall to the car, so we don't know the color yet. So that's that. And I got my new steering rack and my new radiator support. So when I'm allowed to lift stuff and all again, I can put the front end back in the car.
Right.
So.
What kind of car do you have?
No. It's a 46 Chevy Coupe with a 3.5-inch chop.
Okay. Yeah, gorgeous.
That's one of the fleet.
Yeah.
When 50 years of project, 49 years of life.
Right.
Yeah. When will you be back on your feet?
Yep.
When will you be able to work again on that?
Well, I had a double hernia operation last week, so
okay,
it's going to be a little bit. I got my body man doing it, and another friend of mine is going to French the headlights for me. A couple people helped me out to make things a little bit easier.
Sure.
Got my motor, got my tranny, rear end and front end have already been done a while. So
right.
Take the dash and put the gauges in, slowly but surely.
Takes a village.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
hey, Ray, you just said that. Ray, you said Willwood had a 20-pound residual pressure valve in your car? Isn't it 10?
After I said that, I rethought it because I know that there's there's probably a 2-pound valve.
Yeah,
it might have been times 10.
Brakes and, yeah,
but there's a few of them. There's a couple.
Yeah, because the disc takes one, the drum takes another. But usually, I thought it was like 10 pounds. I don't know.
It goes in the drum brake
You
line.
never know.
Yeah, it goes. I think it's a 2.5. Maybe I have a 10. It goes in the rear line, and that's exactly because the discs want full pressure. Correct.
Right. Yeah, you can put them in the front too, but
Right, but if you have an aftermarket, if you have a if you have an OEM master, that valve is built in. So.
Right. Your car in color yet?
It is in color, yes. And it has nothing to do with road testing.
Right. It's not glorious black and white anymore.
No.
Right.
I started putting it together last week, and let me tell you, you want to talk about nerve-wracking to start putting a car back together. Because one slip of the ratchet, one slip of a wrench, and it's like, you'd be in a world of hurt.
Yep.
I was never a big fan. But yeah, it's coming along. I'm ordering more parts. I'm trying to deal with bumper chrome, which I haven't really resolved yet. AMD is looking like who I might go with.
Yeah, we were talking. You were talking about that on Thursday, Ray.
I talk about it. Anybody who listens, well,
yeah. Thursday night you were talking about that.
Yeah,
the bumper chrome.
Yeah,
anybody.
I know a lot of people use Desert Dogs.
I haven't heard of them.
They're good chrome.
They're probably out in Arizona.
Muscle Car Ray uses them.
Oh, he didn't tell me about them. I asked him.
Yeah.
All right.
I know he was using them.
Okay.
Maybe he's not anymore, but he is. He was. He was. He is with his Pontiac, so you got to be perfect.
Right.
So, all right. So I'm just sitting around looking at my projects. The kids all have something to do today, so that's that. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there, man. Okay.
Yeah. Same to you.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah. Good talking to you, Vic. Get well soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Talk to you
all
guys
right,
later.
You bet.
Talk to you soon.
Yep. See you later, bud.
Okay.
Bye-bye. 516-256-9510 is the phone number. Write it down. That's the phone number to get hold of us here.
Right.
Ray, I've been enjoying the Twitter updates of your projects, by the way. So.
But I've been trying to keep them coming. In the beginning, there was, when they're doing body work, it's kind of a redundant thing. If you've seen one panel be sanded, you've seen them all. So I was trying not to flood it with redundancy, but just whenever there was a change.
Right. It's fun. It's fun to retweet because we always tell our followers there's two studios that the Motormouth crew works in. There's the radio studio or this impromptu studio that we have now, and then the garage. The garage is the other studio.
This is it. So I'd rather be in my garage. It's my
Back to the phones. Let's go back to the fun. Let's go back to the fun and say hi. You're on with the Motormouths.
Mr. Anthony and gentlemen.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you, gentlemen? Bob from Aqua Center. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day,
to you, too.
Father's Day, Bob.
It's the first time we've been called gentlemen, by the way.
Yeah, I know. We're not used to that. I look around.
Bob calls a lot of talk programs, so he's mistaken hours for a gentleman.
Right. Thank you, Bob. It's very kind of you.
How are you, my brother?
All good, gentlemen. All good here. Just wanted to call and say hey.
Yeah.
And 2 points of past programming. After you had the Armor All commercial, I went to the garage and I mixed the Armor All with the STP and put it into the squeeze gun.
Oh no! I hope you're like chasing cockroaches with it or something.
Yeah.
That's spraying it on your car.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, that was pretty good. I said, you know what? All I need now is the TomTom to call.
Right.
Yeah.
Massapequa, right.
Exactly.
I always let the cars warm up. And I'm going to sign off by saying have a great week and happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
You bet, Bob. Thanks for the call. Yeah. Happy Father's Day.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. 516-256-9510. This phone number.
Thank you.
Yes.
Someone wanted to, I should have asked Vic about, we have a new article on the website in our Legends Lost series. Bernie Shacker, who passed away, the Long Island chassis builder and legend. If you like to read about old historic drag racing, it's kind of like the bookend piece to what you might see on an Automoblog site.
Yeah.
Check it out on our website, motormouthradio.com. You will enjoy it for sure. And we are asking for some help with more submissions to that article. So.
Yeah, and I don't know, Carl, if you were aware of the last week's show, I was lamenting about Armor All, which I always do.
Okay.
And how you can use it as maybe like a cooking grease or something like that.
Yep.
To keep your hash browns from slipping off the plate or whatever.
Yep.
But we were singing the praises of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's like duct tape. It's universal. You know,
Yeah,
it's
right.
just absolutely universal.
But you never use Armor All on your car.
Right.
You used it on something
Right.
else.
Right. When I was a kid, I used to use it on my bike.
Oh yeah.
Seriously, like my bike looked awesome. You know.
I hope you didn't use it on your seat.
Yeah.
You'd be like, go right off.
It was right off. That would land on my head. That would explain a lot today, you know.
Yeah.
All these years later, right? But yeah.
Yeah. But you talk about like some of your dad's, quirks and features.
Yep.
And my dad was the same way with Armor All. He Armor All'd everything.
Yep.
And I swear, after I got out of his car, I had to go wash my clothes. I mean, it was everywhere.
Yep.
It got everywhere. And there was that stuff called Son of a Gun that STP.
Oh yeah.
And he used to use it on the vinyl top on the Caddy Seville. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he would use it on
the windshield.
and that's what it did. It would run down the
yeah.
windshield, and it would be these streaks, and it would drive the windshield wipers crazy because they would. This is definitely a noise. One of the classic Motormouth radio sound effects is when the windshield wipers hit some sort of top protectant. So it's like and he would be driving along like everything's fine. I need therapy at this point.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop it! Stop! Just let the rainwater hit the windshield. Stop!
And here's the thing, Chris. You know you're a car guy when your family gets you gift baskets of Armor All and Turtle Wax every year for Christmas. Seriously, like there was a stretch there in the early 2000s, like about 15, 16, 17 years ago. Armor All had in a wooden box like this Christmas holiday pack. It had tire foam in it. It had the glass cleaner in it. It had the wheel cleaner. It was like 6 or 7 things in a big wooden box, and it was a holiday edition. And every year I got the same one. I got the 2001 edition, the 2002 edition, the 2003 edition.
I got 3 of them too.
Right. And just because it's like, oh, well, what do we get Carl for Christmas? I don't know. Get him a car thing. So get him stuff to clean his pickup, or and of course car hoodies and car shirts. Like,
Let me ask you, Carl. Did you keep all those, and you too, Chris, or did you pass them on to other people?
Sold them on eBay.
Really?
never even unwrapped them. Right. Sold them on some other father. Here, happy birthday, whatever it is.
Right, and I ended up using it. I ripped it open and used the tire foam and the shine and everything.
Wow.
I was, but. But every year, I mean, it never fails. I'll get a shirt. I'll get something to clean my vehicle. I'll get a mug. It's always a car thing, and that's how you know when it's the middle of winter. It's Christmas time, winter in Michigan, and they give you stuff to clean. They give you wheel cleaner. You know you're a car guy because you can't use it for another 4 months.
Right? They give you the California duster. They give you that big red, whatever it is that you wipe over the hood of your car.
I'm like, you get socks, underwear, and the California duster for Christmas. And when you're a little older, you're like, hey, that's a pretty good haul, and maybe I got a gift card to, Subway or something, and it's all the better, or, but yeah, but I'm like, that's one Christmas gift I'll never lose, though.
You were so right.
That is one. Yep. But,
hit it right on the head.
Armor All is miracle stuff, man. You use that for but again, my dad was the same way. That's how I ended up using it on my bike as a kid, because we had we put the whoever the children were of Armor All, we put them through college. I mean,
it's the truth. It's the truth, and it is like you say, it's a miracle liquid, but never on your car. Don't put it on your car. Never on your car. Yep. It'll make you crazy.
Yep.
But yeah. And Ray always makes fun of me because on the convertibles I had at the time, I had a white canvas convertible top on my Buick. And I used to make this soap that I used to call Mother Switzer's convertible
Okay.
top soap. And
Yep.
I think I used every single cleaner in the house.
Yes.
I was putting turpentine in there and naphthalene and
Right.
whatever. If you put the brush in there, the brush would disappear into the suds. It was awful. But I had to clean a white top that way because I used to park the car outside, and New York winters were brutal. So
Right.
that was one of those things. And Ray gave me a bottle one time that had skull and crossbones on it.
That's it. That's
So you
it.
put the Mother Switzer's convertible top soap in that. And
I'll tell you something. You know, would actually a few people, but Joe's in particular. When we'll talk, and we'll come up with some kind of a cleaning issue, and either one of us will say, "Get the Mother Switzers."
Yep. Mother Switzers.
Yeah, if we have, if we have to take like mold off of something, or chrome off of something, or rust, or just light dust. Get the Mother Switzers.
Is Mother Switzers the official sponsor of Motormouth Radio?
He hasn't given us a dime, so I don't know.
Right.
Speaking of that, Carl, how would, if people wanted to advertise on automoblog.net, do you take advertising on your site?
Yes, we do, and it's all custom made and it's all custom built. So we do a lot of sponsored editorial content. We have found you can sell advertising packages and that works, but we have a very custom approach to it. So they would just contact our site just through the contact link. All of that gets forwarded to me, and I can work with you for custom advertising and custom content. And we've worked with everybody from big brands, from eBay to Advanced Auto Parts to Zipcar to smaller startup companies. There's a small company we work with called Diamond Auto Sense. They make a brand of air fresheners. They're based in California, so we will work with anybody. But yes, you can advertise, but it's all custom built. We will create nice content for you based on what you need.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's really smart. That's
And,
great.
Yeah, hopefully Mother Switzers will be the newest supporter of Automoblog, because we use it for everything, you know. Oh boy. We got enchiladas in the oven, and that pan is greased with Mother Switzers.
Right. Yeah, it reminds me of course, Christmas Vacation, where I forget what the name of the solvent was that Clark used on the bottom of his sled.
Right.
Like a Teflon-based cooking surface stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And the stuff when he threw a spackle bucket like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, right?
Mother Switzer sounds like a real thing, though. It sounds like something you would have bought, in the 1950s or whatever, Just, the elixir for the home, Mother Switzers,
Well, and I tell you this, not to go down that dastardly path on this show, but we do. And if history will bear us out on this, it'll probably be the next brand to be banished, like Aunt Jemima syrup.
Right.
Because I've seen the picture of Mother Switzer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Woo.
But did it work cleaning your Buick?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. It took
Aunt Jemima works on my pancakes. Beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the problem was you had to re-wax the car because it would take the wax off the finish.
And if you were really brutal with it, you had to repaint the car.
Okay, so there were some bugs with the initial solution and the prototype.
Yeah.
So there was a few people lost some paint on some cars, but
yeah.
overall.
Overall, we always prefaced with, well, the chemicals are still being worked out. The mixing, it's not like the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe or anything like that. But we always took suggestions.
It just how creative us car guys get, though, when it comes to our cars and our babies. When it comes to how creative we'll get to take care of them. So, it's funny, but it's true. I mean, car guys do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're getting close to the end of the show. Carl, please pass out any information, how people can get in touch with you and find the entities that you're involved with. So that they can, besides going to motormouthradio.com, which also has a link.
Absolutely, yes. So I will share that article that you talked about, so I'll go find that. But you can find us on Twitter, just at Automoblog. We always interact on Twitter, and then you can find us in person automoblog.net, and that's the key part, .net. We started the site in 2006, so we were an older site. .nets were big back then. Yeah. But if you just go to Google and type in Automoblog, AUTOMOBLOG, we'll come right up. You can interact with us on Twitter. If you have any questions about the car buying process or anything, all those emails get forwarded to me. I respond to everyone. So if you have questions on stuff about buying a car, please reach out to us. We're here to help you.
Right. Very good. Great. Excellent.
Very cool.
Yeah, I will say we don't have a guest booked right now for next week. That doesn't mean that's not going to happen, because in our world, things happen sometimes fast and at the last minute.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, Carl is usually a last minute addition.
Yeah, it was. And this time, Ray, you asked me on Thursday night, which is really advance notice for us when you think about it.
Right.
That's advance notice.
Well, you got smart. You started hanging around on Thursday night. So
right.
Like, oh, yeah, by the way, I need a guest. Hey, what do you do?
Right.
Yeah, Carl Anthony, the go-to guest.
Yeah, always.
It's always a good show. That's for sure.
And you know what? We appreciate the support, and everybody out there listening in Motormouth Radio Land. We appreciate all the support to Automoblog, and we're proud and honored to be part of this community and to just play in this corner of the sandbox. So, we're grateful to be here.
Right.
Well, we're grateful to have you. Thank you, Carl. It's really been extraordinary, and I love it. I love to see how it all works together. And like Ray says, we're all over the country, all doing the same things. Everybody's doing the same things, and it's just a matter of all sitting down and talking to one another and comparing notes and having a cup of Armor All and.
Absolutely. I think Larry Webster said it best in his book last year, Never Stop Driving, which is just that, never stop driving. The automobile, the culture of the automobile is strong, and that is our shared passion. That's what unites us. The love for the automobile is alive and well, and will continue to be.
And gentlemen, with that, we're going to wrap and get the heck out of here, because Kim is waiting to come in with Thunder Road. Carl, thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
Chris, what do we always tell everybody?
Don't follow us home.
All righty. We are, for Chris Whitson, Ray Guarino, for Carl Anthony today. Ray Guarino signing off Motormouth Radio, 90.3 WHPC. We'll see you next week.
Bye.